warning was given to him. This warning was traditional and it had been passed down from generation to generation. Once upon a time, nestled in the heart of the Yoruba land, was a small peaceful village called Ayedade. Elders from this village summoned a young man named Dayo from the city for a critical purpose. For centuries, Dayo's ancestors were the inheritors of the masked spirits called Egungun. The revered position was passed down through generations, and Dayo's father, the previous Egungun, had recently joined his ancestors. It was Dayo's time to inherit the revered rule of the Egungun, the masked spirit, so he left the city and headed back to the village. The journey was a very lengthy one, yet Dayo understood the importance of tradition, so he cared less about the prolonged journey. Finally, he arrived at Ayedade village, and on the day of his arrival, he bumped into a beautiful lady named Yewande. It was not a surprise that Dayo was attracted to Yewande because Yewande was undoubtedly the most beautiful maiden in the village. Many men, wealthy and influential, had tried to woo Yewande, but they all failed. She was the talk of the town. Every age group admired her beauty, and there were rumors that even the king wanted her to marry the prince. Yewande's dark skin was as smooth as milk. Her skin shone like precious stone under the sunlight, and she had a heartwarming smile that produced two perfect dimples, one on each side of the cheek. Yewande was every man's dream wife, yet no man could successfully make her his partner. That day, Yewande and her friend Motun were on their way to the hairdresser's place to remake her hair when she and Dayo's paths crossed. Their eyes met and she smiled at the handsome stranger. Dayo had never met a beautiful lady as the lady before him, and immediately he approached Yewande in the attempt to introduce himself. But he was cut off by the presence of Yewande's friend Motun, who dragged her away. According to Motun, Dayo was a stranger, and she told Yewande she was protecting her from a stranger. Dayo was not happy with Motun's behavior, but he vowed to search for this beautiful lady once he settled down, so he continued his walk to a close family friend's house. Dayo's family friend, who was a member of the secret Egungun society, took him to Baba Ifa's house. Baba Ifa was a close friend of his father, and he was the one who was tasked with guiding him through the rituals. The rituals commenced the next day. According to Baba Ifa, it was an abomination for Ayedade village to be without the Egungun, and since Dayo had arrived at the village, there was no need for further delay. The rituals took 7 days and a lot of sacrifices were done. However, throughout the 7 days, Dayo found it difficult to concentrate on the ritual, as his mind was on the beautiful maiden he met on the first day he arrived in the village. On the 7th day, the final rituals were concluded, and the villagers began a 7 days feast to celebrate the new Egungun. During the rituals, the spirits of the ancestors were invoked, and diverse rites were performed. After these rites, Dayo was now allowed to wear the elaborate costumes, as he was now the masked spirit. The Egungun is a visible representation of the spirits of the departed ancestors, and the Egungun embody the ancestors' wisdom, guidance, and Egungun is believed to spiritually cleanse the village and uphold the ethical standard of the village, and also bring blessings to the people. The arrival and installation of the new Egungun was huge news to the people of Ayedade, who were joyful and thrilled. Men prayed, asking for the new Egungun to bring harmony and blessings. Women prayed for blessings, peace, and progress. Women also danced as they sang choruses and oriki and praised Dayo's lineage. The youth and children were delighted to be alive to witness the installation of a new Egungun. The entire village consumed lots of food and palm wine. It was a delightful moment for all the inhabitants of Ayedade. When Dayo became the new Egungun, a stern warning was given to him. This warning was traditional, and it had been passed down from generation to generation. The tradition demanded secrecy. Dayo's true identity would remain hidden behind the mask, and no one aside from Baba Ifa and a few elders in the Egungun society. The 7 days feast passed, and Dayo went about his new life in the village. No one aside from Baba Ifa and a few elders in the Egungun society knew he was the new Egungun. No one knew who he was. As his father took him to the city, immediately his mother died when Ayo was just 4 years old. All they knew about Dayo was that he was from the city. He was a good weaver, and he also sold the best ashoke in the village. Dayo was tall, dark, well-built, and hardworking. He respected the elders. He was a leader among his peers. He cared for children, and he was handsome, so he was eyed by many maidens. However, he had his eyes on this beautiful lady he met on the first day of his arrival, and he was still searching for her. One fateful evening, he crossed paths with Yewande, who was on her way to the stream. This time, Yewande was alone. Both of them immediately recognized each other. They exchanged names and they talked for a while. Their conversation was like no other. It was as if they knew each other before. They talked to the stream and talked till they almost got to the village. Yewande needed to go home, so she asked if he lived in the village or if he was just passing through, and if he had come to stay. Dayo told her that he was in the village to stay, and she asked him why he left the city. Dayo wished he could tell her the reason he left the city, but he couldn't. So he did not answer the reason he left the city, as the Egungun secrecy was crucial. They parted ways, hoping to see each other at the village square the next day, where some rituals for the first Egungun festival of the new Egungun was to be held. Very early the next day, Yewande prepared herself for the festival, hoping to meet Dayo again. On getting there, the Egungun was ushered out of the shrine into the village square to perform the first ritual dance. Dayo, the Egungun, was asked to dance in the middle of the village square, while everyone danced and sang ritual song along with him. As he was dancing, his eyes stumbled on Yewande, who was desperately looking for him. but couldn't find him. He felt a desire to reveal his true self and be seen by her, but he knew he couldn't, so he ignored her and continued the ritual dance. After hours of dancing, Yewande gave up on finding him and headed back home in disappointment. After the Egungun dance, Dayo quickly changed his elaborate costume and looked for Yewande, but couldn't find her. As fate would have it, they crossed paths again in the evening. Yewande asked if Dayo was present at the ritual dance, and he nodded in approval. Yewande suddenly had a mood swing, wondering if he was lying and wondering if he truly came to the village square, as Dayo said he did, and why they didn't cross paths. Dayo noticed the look on her face and quickly asked if she had looked for him at the ritual dance, but she said no. She also asked if he had looked for her on the occasion, and he replied in the negative. So they promised to look for each other the next day, which was the second day of the ritual rehearsals. They departed, and Yewande was eager to see him again tomorrow. The next day marked the second day of the ritual dance. This time around, the Egungun was asked to dance from the shrine of the king's palace. Yewande searched and searched for Dayo, hoping to see Dayo at the palace. She searched everywhere for him, but couldn't find him. Dayo, on the other hand, saw her looking for him as he danced. Yet, he had to perform his duty, so he kept on dancing. After an effortless search, Yewande gave up on the search and tried to enjoy the Egungun's dancing steps, which she couldn't. She was not happy she couldn't find Dayo. If only she knew that Dayo was the Egungun. Again, they met that evening, and Dayo asked if she was at the ritual dance. She nodded in approval and asked if Dayo was also there. Dayo was about to say yes when Yewande stopped him. She told him she was aware that he had been lying to her, and she was sure that he was never at the occasion. Dayo wished he could prove himself to her. He wanted to tell her the color of the king's robe and the seating arrangements of the queens, and give the other evidence to back up his presence at the dance. But he couldn't utter a statement because he was the Egungun masked spirit. So he decided to lie. He told Yewande that he had not been attending the ceremony. Yewande was very disappointed. She wished they could meet each other and spend more time with each other, and she hoped he could come for the last ritual rehearsals. So Yewande left for home. Tomorrow I will see the one I love, she said to herself. On the other hand, Dayo's heart was pounding against his ribs. He hated lies. His father's relative in the city where he was brought up detested lies, and Dayo himself had instilled honesty in his life. He couldn't remember the last time he told a lie, yet there he was, shattering his value by telling a lie to the one he loved to protect his tradition. As someone who preferred to tell the truth, he yearned to unveil the truth to Yewande. Two truths: first, to confess his love, and second, to disclose his role as the Egungun. But the weight of the tradition held him back, a heavy burden passed down through generations. Yewande's disappointments stung. She loves Dayo. She could feel it. She knew her love for him was true. However, doubts were beginning to creep in. She detested lying and liars, and Dayo, the man she loved, had just confessed to her that he had told her a lie. Is Dayo a liar? Or was that lie the only one he had told her? Why did he have to lie about attending this festival? Has Dayo been telling the truth about his previous life in the city? How many more lies could I expect from him? And is Dayo really who I think he is? What if he has stolen in the city or even killed someone and decided to take shelter here at Ayedade? Here were the questions flowing through her mind. She was very worried. These questions and more filled Yewande's thoughts. She could hardly sleep that night. She and Dayo's stolen moments, their blossoming connection, are all thrown into questions by his duplicity. From that moment, Yewande decided to be very careful with Dayo, to consider his words carefully before believing him, and to observe him. Dayo, on the other hand, longed to spend more time with Yewande. He was so much in love with her that he doubted he would be able to spend a day without Yewande. And even more than before, he longed to share the secret his masked lip could not speak. Days turned into weeks as the Egungun's festival approached its climax. Yewande, with a keen and cunning mind, began to weave a web of suspicion around Dayo. In their conversation, Yewande noticed Dayo's knowledge of the rituals and festival was too intimate for a mere city dweller who recently relocated to Ayedade. This raised her eyebrows. She also noticed Dayo's convenient disappearance right before the Egungun's emergence, followed by his reappearance afterwards. The only time she could never locate where Dayo was when the Egungun was either performing a ritual, a dance, or other related activity. In her thoughts and observation, she also remembered that the new Egungun was installed just a few days after she saw Dayo that day when she was with Motun to remake her hair. Then came the minor injury. Dayo claimed a fall in the forest, the very forest that most villagers avoided, as it is said to be roamed by the Egungun spirits. This provided Yewande with another piece to the puzzle. The pieces fit together, forming a startling picture that both terrified and excited her. Is Dayo the Egungun? If he was, Yewande knew Dayo was never going to tell her, as tradition forbids that the Egungun reveal its identity. And if Dayo was the Egungun, the future of their relationship was in doubt, as it is said that the Egungun is allowed to marry if he only marries someone from the Egungun secret society. So if Dayo was the Egungun, he would have to marry someone else, since she wasn't and can't be a member of the revered secret society. These observations, guesses, and thoughts filled Yewande's mind. Then she decided to take up a mission to unmask the Egungun and see if Dayo was truly the Egungun. She didn't know how she was going to do this, but she had set her mind on this mission, and she won't stop till she knows the truth. This is where we will stop for now. This story will continue in Egungun Unmasked Part 2. Now that we have come to the end of Egungun Unmasked Part 1, I have some questions for you. Do you think Dayo should break tradition and reveal his identity to Yewande? Do you think Yewande would unmask the Egungun And if she does, how do you think she would do this? Share your answers in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you will get notified when Egungun Unmasked Part 2 is posted and when more exciting story like this. See you in my next one. Bye.